What if the whole village already decided you were a monster? Not because they understood you, not because they knew your pain, but because every time they looked at you, all they saw was violence. That is where this part of Vagabond begins. Musashi is not just being hunted by soldiers anymore. He is being hunted by his own people, by his past, and by the image everyone has created of him. And the scariest part is, Musashi himself is starting to believe it. Today we're continuing Vagabond Volume 2 and 3 at this point. Musashi is still a wild young man trying to survive after everything that happened on the battlefield. Matahachi is gone, Otsu is left with pain and confusion, and Musashi has returned to a village where almost nobody sees him as human anymore. This part of the story matters because it does not just show Musashi fighting people, it shows the moment where the world keeps calling him a demon, and one man finally looks at him and says something different. Not, "You are strong," not, "You are dangerous," but something much harder for Musashi to accept. "You are afraid." Musashi hiding in the mountains. The story begins in the mountains and forests around the village. People are looking for Musashi, but catching him is not easy. The villagers already understand one thing very clearly. Musashi grew up around these mountains. He knows the forest, the paths, the hiding places, the places where normal people would get lost. Musashi runs into a man carrying a load through the mountains. The man is shocked when Musashi appears in front of him, and Musashi does not approach him gently. He forces the man down and starts asking him about Matahachi. This is important because it shows what Musashi actually came back for. He did not return to the village just to cause trouble. He came back because he wants to know what happened to Matahachi. He wants to confirm the truth. Is Matahachi alive? Is he with Oko? The man is terrified. He is sweating, barely able to answer. But Musashi pushes him for the information he needs. Once Musashi gets what he wants, he lets the man go. The story then shifts away from Musashi and brings us to two important people in Matahachi's life. The first is Matahachi's mother, an old woman who is full of anger, pride, and fear. The second is Otsu, the young woman who was supposed to marry Matahachi. Otsu is introduced as someone carrying a lot of emotional weight. She is not just the girl waiting at home. She is someone whose future was tied to Matahachi. She had a promise. She had hope. She had a place she thought she belonged. But now everything is uncertain. Matahachi has not returned. Musashi has returned alone. And because of that, the old woman starts blaming Musashi. To her, Musashi is the reason Matahachi left. If Musashi had not gone to war with him, maybe Matahachi would still be home. Maybe he would already be married. Maybe this whole tragedy could have been avoided. Otsu also speaks about Musashi. The old woman even says Otsu hates Musashi. But Otsu's feelings are more complicated than simple hatred. She is scared. She is hurt. Above all, she is still holding on to Matahachi. The old woman tells Otsu that if she is going to become part of the Oniden family, she has to be strong. Then, in one emotional moment, the old woman cries out for Matahachi. There's a scene where Otsu is treated roughly and pressured, but she does not just collapse. She stands her ground and says clearly that she is Matahachi's future wife. She is supposed to become part of the Oniden family. That line matters because Otsu is trying to hold on to the one thing that still gives her identity. If Matahachi is alive, she has a future. If Matahachi remembers his promise, then everything she suffered still has meaning. But the story does not let her hold on to that comfort for long. Soon, Otsu finds a letter. At first, even the idea of receiving a letter surprises her. She is an orphan, so who would be writing to her? But when she reads it, the truth becomes painful. The letter connects to Oko, the woman who is now with Matahachi, and the message is basically telling Otsu to forget him. Then comes the part that hurts the most. Matahachi himself has written that he is sorry. He tells Otsu to forget about him and live a happy life. Otsu does not immediately explode. For a second, she just freezes. That is actually what makes the scene feel real. Sometimes pain does not hit like screaming right away. Sometimes your mind needs a moment to understand that the thing you trusted is gone. Then Otsu breaks. She asks who Oko is. She breaks down, crushes the letter, and the promise she was holding on to falls apart in her hands. And this is not just heartbreak, it is betrayal. Because Matahachi is alive. He did not die in the war. He chose not to return. Musashi tells Matahashi's mother the truth while Otsu is being crushed by the letter. Musashi finally confronts Matahashi's mother. At night, he appears before the old woman, and right away she does not greet him like a human being. She attacks him. She is so full of rage that she says she will kill Musashi and then kill herself. To her, Musashi is the boy who took her son away. But Musashi is not there to fight her. He came to tell her something important. Matahachi is alive. When she hears that, everything changes for a moment. Her weapon drops. Her anger cracks. Hope appears through all that hatred. But then she asks the obvious question. If Matahachi is alive, why did Musashi come back alone? And that question is heavy. Because the answer is not clean. It is not heroic. It is not something a mother wants to hear. Musashi tells her that Matahachi is alive somewhere else with another woman. The old woman is shocked. Her emotions turn messy. She is relieved that her son is alive, but she is also humiliated, confused, and hurt. She cries. She grabs Musashi's clothes. She wants her son back. And Musashi just stands there with the truth. This is one of those moments where Vagabond shows that surviving is not always the same as coming home. Matahachi survived the battlefield, but he abandoned the people waiting for him. The trap is set. After hearing the truth, The old woman changes her behavior toward Musashi. For a moment, she speaks to him more gently. She even says he is her son's friend, but underneath that, her anger has not disappeared. Outside, villagers and armed men are gathering. Musashi realizes something is wrong. The old woman has set a trap. Soon, the area around him is surrounded. Men are waiting with weapons. The whole village is ready to capture him. And this is where the story becomes bigger than just one chase, because Musashi is not being treated like a criminal who needs to answer questions. He is being treated like a wild animal. People call him dangerous. They call him a demon. They say he cannot be allowed to escape. And Musashi, instead of trying to explain himself, reacts the only way he really knows. He fights. Musashi against the village. Musashi comes out into the open, surrounded by armed villagers. He is dirty, shirtless, exhausted, and cornered. Around him are men with weapons, people who are afraid of him, people who hate him, people who have already decided what he is. They call him a demon child. They move toward him, and Musashi warns them in his own way. If they come to kill him, he will kill first. The fight begins suddenly. One man attacks, and Musashi strikes him down with brutal force. The impact is so strong that everyone around him hesitates, but the crowd does not stop. More men rush in. Some have spears, some have swords, some are villagers who probably have no real idea what they are stepping into, and that is what makes the scene dangerous. Musashi is not fighting trained warriors in a clean duel. He is fighting a crowd. A crowd can panic. A crowd can attack from every direction. A crowd can kill you just by overwhelming you. But Musashi moves like someone who has lived his whole life in danger. He dodges. He counters. He uses openings before others even realize they have made a mistake. At one point, attackers notice something terrifying about him. Musashi is not just strong, he is calm in the middle of violence. It almost feels like he can sense where the next attack is coming from. A sword comes in close, and he reacts. A spear is aimed at him, and he shifts away. Someone tries to rush him, and he knocks them down before they can control the fight. The villagers keep shouting. The old woman tells them not to let him escape, because if he gets out of the village, nobody will be able to stop him. That line shows how afraid they are. They are not just trying to punish Musashi, they are trying to remove him from the world before he becomes even harder to control. And all the while, Otsu is there, watching this nightmare unfold. For her, Musashi is already connected to pain. He is connected to Matahachi leaving. He is connected to fear, confusion, and betrayal. Now she sees him fighting the entire village like something that cannot be stopped. So the question becomes simple. Is Musashi really a demon? Or is this what happens when a boy is treated like one for his entire life? Takuan appears. Just when the violence is getting worse, a new character enters the story, Takuan, and his entrance feels completely different from everyone else. The villagers are panicking. Musashi is ready to fight. The whole scene is full of tension, but Takuan is calm. He does not look at Musashi like the others do. He does not rush in with a weapon. He does not scream demon. He does not beg him to stop. Instead, he studies him. And then he says something that cuts deeper than any sword. He tells Musashi that his body is big, but his heart is small. He even compares him to a cat. At first, that sounds almost insulting in a funny way, but Takuan is not just making a joke. He sees something in Musashi that nobody else is saying out loud. Musashi is not fearless. He is afraid. Musashi reacts like this idea is nonsense. He has fought warriors. He has survived the battlefield. He is standing against a village. How could he be afraid? But Takuan explains it in a simple way. Musashi is so sensitive to danger that anyone who comes near him feels like a threat. If someone touches him, he is ready to cut them down. If someone gets close, his body prepares to attack. And why do people live like that? Because they are scared. That hits Musashi hard, because until now, people have called him strong, violent, dangerous, and demonic, but Takuan calls him weak. Not weak in muscle, weak in the heart. Weak because he is controlled by fear. This is one of the most important ideas in this part of Vagabond. Musashi thinks survival means strength. Takuan is telling him that if fear controls every move he makes, then he is not free at all. Takuan's strange way of helping. After this intense conversation, searchers notice something is happening nearby. Musashi is still hiding in the area, and Takuan suddenly shouts that Musashi is here. For a second, it looks like Takuan has betrayed him. Musashi is shocked, and honestly, it is almost funny because Takuan acts like the calm, wise monk, then immediately makes everything worse. But when the villagers come and ask where Musashi went, Takuan points them in another direction. So his method is strange, but it works. He exposes Musashi just enough to shake him, then redirects the seer. Musashi has always fought to survive. But what if survival is not enough? What if all his strength is just a wall built around fear? This is the kind of question Vagabond slowly plants in the story. It does not force Musashi to change in one moment. It just puts one truth in front of him and lets it bother him. And for a person like Musashi, that is dangerous, because a sword wound heals, but a truth like that stays. A new enemy appears. Then, while Musashi is alone in the forest, danger comes from above. A hidden attacker drops down from the trees and strikes. Musashi reacts fast, blocking the attack at close range. The movement is sudden. There is no clean warning, no formal duel, no time to prepare. This attacker is not like the villagers. He is skilled. He gets close. He controls the distance. He puts Musashi in real danger. Musashi blocks the weapon, but the attack is serious enough to shake him. There is blood, tension, and the feeling that this is not just another random man trying to catch him. Then the attacker reveals himself. His name is Tsujikaze Kohei, and he tells Musashi that many people are chasing him. This changes the energy of the story immediately, because Musashi was already being hunted by the village. He was already hungry. He was already emotionally shaken by Takuan's words. Now, on top of all that, a dangerous fighter has found him in the forest. And Kohei is not just there to join the crowd. He feels like a different kind of threat, a personal threat, a predator meeting another predator. And that is where this part of Vagabond leaves us. Musashi has survived the village attack, but he has not escaped the truth. The villagers call him a demon. Otsu is broken by Matahachi's betrayal. Matahachi's mother is trapped between love for her son and hatred for Musashi. Aoki is losing control. Takuan has entered the story, and with just a few words, he has cut deeper into Musashi than any weapon so far. Because for the first time, someone is not impressed by Musashi's strength. Someone is asking what that strength is really hiding. And now, while Musashi is hungry, hunted, and mentally shaken, Tsujikaze Kohei appears in the forest. So the next part is not just going to be another fight. It is going to test whether Musashi is only a wild beast surviving in the mountains, or whether there is still a human being buried somewhere inside him. If you enjoyed this explanation, leave a like